Hello everyone, this is Nisa. Welcome back to my channel English by Nisa. In today's video, we are going to discuss the chapter Toasted English by R.K Narayan, that is in Degree 3rd Sem Unit 2. So before going on to the explanation, let us know about the author R.K Narayan. And this chapter is going to be in two parts. So let's know about the author. R.K Narayan is an Indo-Anglican writer of 19th century. He published about 60 books in his writing career of 60 years. Most of his novels are set in imaginary semi-urban South Indian town Malgudi that he himself created. Malgudi is the fictional world created by R.K. Narayan in his stories. His writings are characterized by humor, irony and realism. Narayan received numerous awards and honors including the Sahitya Academy Award, Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan Award. The essay Toasted English is taken from Narayan's collection of essays titled Reluctant Guru, published in 1974. During his stint as a visiting professor at an American university during 1969, he observed how Americans have adapted British English to suit their needs. He differentiates American English from the British English by the process of toasting. They made English in a simple form by giving a passive voice. This modification of English he called it as toasting. Now let's start the chapter. In the American restaurant, they call for toasted English, referring to English muffins which though being made in America. So muffins are toasted bread pieces. Americans like the toasted muffins of England. In the same way, even after the British left the United States of America, the Americans like to use their language English. The only thing is that they use it after toasting. According to the author, leaving the formalism of British English is the toasting. Americans brought about some changes in the language. They practically left the passive form of language, long description of things using more words. The American used some basic keys words after toasting. Now retain English as a sort of concession to their origin. The same may be said of their language too. Americans too went through a phase of throwing out the British, but retaining their language and letting it flourish on American soil. So here he referred that to Americans how they made English language and retained it as a concession to their origin. In that context, he expresses his opinion that Americans also went through a phase of throwing out the British but retaining the language. The other country in his mind is India, which is still continuing strict rule of grammar and its voice. The three countries the author refers directly here are 1. America, and its counterparts British and India. He speaks about America is successful throwing out the British like India and also able to retain its language, flourish on its soil. India too is capable of retaining its form of Indian English. So the resultant language is somewhat different from its British counterpart. It may be said to have gone through a process of toasting. One noticeable result of this toasting is that much of the formalism surrounding the use of English has been abandoned. So here he is saying that the remarkable result of toasting is that much of the formalism surrounding the use of English has been abandoned. So in America they have freed the language from the stifling tyranny of the passive voice, where we would say ceremoniously trespassing prohibited. Their signboard, as I noticed, in the parks of Berkeley merrily say newly planted don't walk or absolutely no parking, leaves no room for speculation, and no motorist need spend too much time peering out and studying the notice. In a similar situation, our authorities are likely to plant a 20-line inscription on the landscape to say, under Municipal Act so and so have contravened subsection so and so of the Motor Vehicles Act, etc. etc. So here he want to say that in this essay he described the differences in speaking English language in Britain and in America. He points out that America became independent and freed English from the clutches of British English, especially from the stifling tyranny of passive voice. He also speaks about the English language spoken in India. In India, the passive voice is often used in instruction and notices. For example, in India, they use trespassing is prohibited is a passive voice usage. Similarly, under Municipal Act so and so, this area has been reserved is also a passive voice sentence. So he said that here that the English language used by the British and Indians contain a lot of formalism. Americans are more straightforward in their use of English. They do not use too many words. R.K. Narayan says that Indian authorities use a 20-line inscription instead of 1 or 2 words are used by the Americans. When Americans write notice, they write in the active voice. The Britishers and the Indians write notices in the passive voice. For example, the Americans write newly planted, don't walk, or absolutely no parking. The British are confined to the meaning of the dictionary, whereas the Americans are more free in the use of words. So basically he mentioned India still following the tyranny of English and its use by giving the example of traffic signals and the signboards. So let's continue. I saw on many American office doors just do not enter. The traffic sign and pedestrian crossing never means words. They just say go or wait. In a Hollywood studio, I was rather startled to read Mark Steven keep out. Mark Stevens is a busy television personality who did not like to be disturbed by visitors. Incidentally, it left me wondering why, if Mr. Stevens does not like interruptions, he should announces his name at all on the door. But it is one of the minor mysteries that make travel through that country so engrossing. What exactly he pointed out is Indian English should also be transformed which suits to its culture and needs. He opines that language and signboard must be used with clear indication of direct and meaningful pattern, but not lengthy like 20 lines. The author quotes the example of the usage of American English and its clarity for the public. He compares Indian English with lengthy signboard. He opines that Indian authorities can also have similar change in traffic sign and pedestrian crossings. The toasting of English has been achieved through other means also. Americans also evolved certain basic keywords which may be used anywhere, anyhow, words which have universal multi-purpose use. So the traffic sign at the pedestrian crossing never means words. They simply say go or wait. Americans have evolved certain basic keywords which may be used anywhere, anyhow words which have universal and multi-purpose use. So finally he finds that American English is flexible and transformed to their origin and needs. So the toasting of English has been achieved through other means also. Americans have evolved certain basic keywords which may be used anywhere, anyhow words which have universal multi-purpose use. I may make my point clear if I mention the example of the word check, which may safely be labeled the American national expression, while British usage confine it to the bare dictionary definition. The American use it anywhere. This expression being so devised that one may blindly utter it and still find that it is appropriate for the occasion. I'll check means I'll find out, investigate, examine or scrutinize, verify or probe. Your check means your ticket, token or whatever you may have to produce. Check room is where you leave your position for a while. So basically he want to say that he says America evolved certain basic keywords which may be used anywhere, anyhow words, which have universal multi-purpose use. He gave the example of the word check, labeled the American nation expression. He said that the keywords I'll check means I will find out, investigate, examine, verify. Or your check means token or ticket. Check room means where you leave your possession for a while. Check girl is one who take care of your coat, umbrella or anything else you may have in custody. Check in, check out refers to arrival and departure from there. Fabulous is used for eccentric. Okay is a well-known example. So he says that the word check has natural expression in America, and humorously writes can blindly utter it and find that it's appropriate for the occasion. Fabulous is another word which is used freely without any thought. American use enlarge or its sense give an example of lady saying, "Oh, those cats of mine are fabulous," which means for a milder form of charming lunacy. He makes essay humorous writing the example of okay. His essay is too interesting, calling British word has a bizarre status. So he said that okay is a special word which shows special respect for the listener. Yes sir and yeah darling is unthinkable. So this enough for today. We'll see in the next video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next video.